The ballroom fell silent the moment the little boy reached for his father's worn hand. Hundreds of the country's richest business leaders had gathered beneath glittering crystal chandeliers, expecting another glamorous charity gala filled with billionaires, celebrities, and political figures. Then the CEO made a shocking announcement that left everyone whispering. She invited a struggling single father to sit beside her at the head table. At first, everyone thought it was nothing more than a cruel joke. The man wore a faded navy suit that had clearly been tailored years earlier, and his shoes carried the marks of countless long workdays. Smirks spread across the room as executives exchanged amused glances, believing the invitation was meant to embarrass him. But the laughter disappeared the instant the rivals recognized who he truly was. One by one, the wealthiest competitors quietly stood up, gathered their belongings, and walked out of the ballroom without saying a word. Nobody could understand why powerful CEOs who feared nothing suddenly refused to remain in the same room as an ordinary single father. Before we uncover the heartbreaking truth behind that unforgettable night, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment telling us whether you believe kindness and second chances can change someone's life, share this story with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to Heart Kindness Tales for more emotional stories that remind us humanity is stronger than pride. Elias Rowan had never imagined his life would become a daily battle against exhaustion. Every morning before sunrise he prepared breakfast for his 7-year-old son, Milo, packed his school lunch with whatever groceries remained in the refrigerator, walked him to school, and then headed to a small auto repair garage where he worked longer hours than anyone else. The paycheck barely covered rent, electricity, medicine for Milo's asthma, and the endless bills left behind after his wife passed away from a sudden illness 3 years earlier. Grief had transformed Elias into a quiet man who smiled only when his son laughed. Every dream he once carried had been packed away with old photographs inside a dusty cardboard box hidden beneath his bed. The neighbors often admired how patient he remained despite his difficult circumstances. They never saw him sitting alone late at night at the kitchen table, calculating expenses over and over again, wondering which bill could wait another week. Milo was the brightest part of every difficult day. Although he understood they had very little money, he never complained. Instead, he proudly told classmates that his father could fix anything with broken wheels or broken engines. Whenever Elias returned home smelling of grease and engine oil, Milo greeted him with the biggest smile imaginable. Those moments reminded Elias that even if life had taken away almost everything, it had left him with the greatest reason to keep moving forward. Across the city, Serena Vale stood at the top of the corporate world. As the young CEO of Vale Dynamics, she had built one of the fastest-growing technology companies in the country after inheriting only a small manufacturing business from her late grandfather. She was respected for her intelligence, feared by competitors for her bold decisions, and admired by employees because she treated every worker with dignity. Yet behind the confident public image lived a woman carrying a quiet burden. Success had surrounded her with powerful people, but very few genuine friends. Every invitation, every compliment, and every partnership seemed connected to money rather than sincerity. Each year Serena organized a charity gala supporting children who had lost parents. It was her grandfather's favorite cause, and she honored his memory by personally overseeing every detail. This year's event promised record donations, attracting influential investors from around the world. The media described it as the business gathering of the year. Several weeks before the gala, Serena's car unexpectedly broke down near the modest repair shop where Elias worked. While the other mechanics rushed to impress the wealthy customer, Elias quietly repaired the vehicle without recognizing who she was. He noticed only that she looked tired despite her elegant appearance. When she attempted to pay extra for faster service, he gently refused, explaining that fairness mattered more than wealth. While waiting, Serena watched him patiently help an elderly customer whose old truck barely held together. He accepted almost no payment because the man needed medicine more than car repairs. The simple act stayed in Serena's mind long after she drove away. Before leaving, Serena noticed a drawing taped inside the office. It showed a father holding a little boy beneath a bright sunrise. In childish handwriting it read, "My dad is my hero because he never gives up." Elias quietly explained that Milo had made it after Mother's Day because he did not want his father to feel lonely. Serena smiled, but something inside her heart quietly broke. Days later, while reviewing the guest list for the charity gala, Serena remembered the humble mechanic and made an unexpected decision. Instead of inviting another billionaire, she instructed her assistant to send a formal invitation to Elias Rowan and his son. The board members were stunned. Some assumed she wanted to create a heartwarming publicity moment. Others secretly laughed, believing the poor mechanic would never fit among the elite guests. Elias almost threw the elegant envelope into the trash, convinced it had been delivered by mistake. After confirming it was genuine, he hesitated. He owned only one old suit, and even that no longer fit perfectly. Milo begged him to go, insisting that heroes deserved invitations too. Borrowing a tie from a neighbor and polishing his worn shoes until they reflected a faint shine, Elias finally accepted. The evening of the gala arrived beneath golden sunlight fading into a warm summer dusk. Limousines lined the entrance while photographers captured glamorous arrivals. Elias stepped from a city bus holding Milo's small hand. Some guests stared. Others whispered. Security officers checked the invitation twice before politely welcoming them inside. The ballroom glowed with crystal lights and elegant music. Expensive jewelry sparkled across the room like tiny stars. Elias felt completely out of place. He intended to sit quietly at one of the back tables, hoping not to attract attention. Then Serena entered. Instead of greeting investors first, she walked directly toward Elias. Hundreds of eyes followed her every step. Smiling warmly, she thanked him for accepting the invitation and personally escorted him to the seat beside her at the head table. Gasps echoed across the ballroom. Reporters quickly lifted cameras. Rival CEOs exchanged confused looks before amused smiles appeared across their faces. One executive quietly muttered that Serena must be staging an emotional publicity stunt. Another joked that perhaps mechanics were replacing billionaires as honored guests. Laughter spread among several tables. But everything changed within seconds. An older businessman across the room suddenly froze after recognizing Elias. His face lost all color. Without finishing his drink, he stood up and quietly walked toward the exit. Another executive noticed the same man and immediately followed. Soon a third rival gathered his belongings. Within minutes nearly every major competitor who had spent years opposing Serena had silently left the ballroom. Confusion spread everywhere. Journalists abandoned conversations to photograph the mysterious departures. Investors whispered anxiously. Nobody understood why powerful business leaders would flee because of one humble mechanic. Serena understood. Years earlier, before tragedy entered his life, Elias Rowan had been one of the brightest engineering innovators in the country. Working for a large manufacturing corporation, he developed revolutionary safety technology capable of preventing thousands of industrial accidents. But when company executives realized implementing the system would reduce short-term profits, they pressured him to falsify safety reports. Elias refused. Instead of protecting workers, the corporation destroyed his career. False accusations ruined his professional reputation. Lawsuits drained his savings. Unable to find work in engineering, he accepted a mechanic's position simply to support his family. His wife stood beside him through every painful day until illness claimed her life. The rivals leaving the ballroom had once been executives connected to that scandal. They feared Elias because Serena had recently completed a confidential investigation into decades of corporate corruption while negotiating a major acquisition. She had uncovered hidden documents proving Elias had told the truth all along. Those documents exposed illegal decisions that several influential executives had spent years burying. They realized Serena's public decision to honor Elias meant she knew everything. Rather than face questions from reporters or investigators, they quietly escaped. Serena stood before the audience and delivered a speech unlike any she had ever given. She explained that true leadership was not measured by wealth, expensive clothing, or company size. It was measured by courage when honesty carried a terrible price. She revealed that one ordinary father had sacrificed his dream, reputation, and future because he refused to endanger innocent workers. She announced that Vail Dynamics had officially cleared Elias's name after verifying every document and would establish a National Engineering Ethics Scholarship in his honor. Silence filled the ballroom. Then every employee of Vail Dynamics rose to their feet. The applause lasted several minutes. Elias lowered his head, overwhelmed by emotions he had buried for years. He had stopped hoping anyone would ever believe him again. Yet the greatest victory of his life arrived not inside a courtroom but in a room filled with strangers who finally saw the truth. Milo looked at his father with shining eyes. Nothing in the world mattered more than hearing hundreds of people applaud the man he had always called his hero. The following weeks transformed countless lives. News outlets shared Elias's story across the country. Young engineers praised his integrity. Universities invited him to speak about ethical leadership. Former co-workers apologized for believing false rumors. Most importantly, families whose loved ones had been protected by safer engineering standards thanked him for choosing honesty over comfort. Vail Dynamics hired Elias as Director of Safety Innovation, giving him the opportunity to finish the life-saving work he had started years earlier. Instead of seeking revenge against those who ruined his career, he focused on protecting future generations of workers. His greatest reward was never the impressive office or generous salary. It was returning home each evening knowing Milo would grow up believing integrity was always worth defending. As seasons passed, the little apartment once filled with quiet sadness slowly became a home filled with laughter again. Milo's asthma improved, their financial worries disappeared, and every Sunday they continued the simple tradition they had never abandoned, sharing pancakes while watching the sunrise together. Success had changed their circumstances, but kindness remained the foundation of their lives. If this story has touched your heart even a little, please support it by liking this video, sharing it with your family and friends, leaving your thoughts in the comments, and subscribing to Heart Kindness Tales so more people can discover stories that remind us hope is never truly lost.